But he plays for Lille. He's an exceptional young talent, defender. He was coveted by Real Madrid and by PSG, but it looks like Manchester United may have stepped in to land his signature. The word is that they're getting pretty close. It's not done and dusted, but it's pretty close. An exciting signing on the face of it. I'm sure Jay Motty has taken to YouTube. He's the host of the Stretford Paddock, and he's been watching video after video that says, "Welcome to Old Trafford, Leny Yoro." He's been putting something together himself. Are you, Jay?
Yeah, I'm just working on it now. I'm just doing the final edit. So don't worry.
Putting on the music. Yeah,
we're linked with De Ligt, but I think this sounds like a better signing to me.
No, it does. I mean, I'll be honest with you. When I heard that Real Madrid were in for him, I just sort of gave up on the idea of getting him. I thought that might be that. They'll probably end up going there because obviously Real Madrid, the success they've had, it's unparalleled. And I thought they'll probably be able to convince him that his future lies there. Even though obviously I'd like him to come to Old Trafford, I thought it might be a bit of a hard sell. But United have managed, it seems, to get the deal done. Very exciting player. Everyone's been raving about him, and I'm excited to see him. But on the De Ligt point, I actually think we need to sign him as well. And that might sound greedy, but Manchester United, we didn't have enough centre-backs last season. We were playing the likes of Casemiro at centre-back at one point. Willy Camboala was playing. Johnny Evans was playing a lot of games. We've lost Camboala. Rafael Varane's gone. So we've got fewer defenders now this time round than we had last season. We didn't have enough last season. So I'd actually like to see us go out and get someone like De Ligt, because I think we need options. And obviously Leny Yoro, fantastic player. He is only 18 years old. Whether he's going to be able to play week in, week out, certainly in his early sort of start at United, I don't know. So we might need other options. And if De Ligt is still available, then I think United should be looking at him, because he's obviously a very talented player, and we need as many as we can get, to be honest with you, especially at centre-back.
You can't blame the new ownership for not putting their money where their mouth is, because to go out and spend 62 million euros on a guy whose contract is up at the end of this season is...
Yeah, he must be highly rated.
Yeah, because it means, he would have been a free agent, but there's going to be a lot of people coveting that contract, and they've obviously felt it's right to get in there now and sign him up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you look at the fact that I think Real Madrid were aiming towards, well, either get him now on the cheap or he can wait a year, see how his contract's, and then we can get him on a free. That makes you think, had United waited, the chances are we wouldn't have been able to get him. This feels a little bit different than, I think it was last year, we were talking about Mason Mount, and when United got him rather than waiting, and there was a few question marks around that one. I understand this one a little bit more because of the fact Real Madrid are waiting. And as you said, Ineos is certainly spending some money. We have to be a little bit more sensible than Manchester United have been in the past because of PSR. But I also saw earlier, I think Mason Greenwood is on the verge of completing his move to Marseille. So that's obviously all profit because he's a homegrown player. So that should cover a bit of the transfers as well, because it's not a case of Ineos just coming in and going, right, we're going to spend loads of money. PSR is affecting everyone, including Manchester United. So we've got to be a little bit more sensible. But 62 million euros for a player, up to 62 million euros, for a player that is, as you both mentioned, highly sought after. It does make sense, especially when he's only 18 years old. And you imagine that, if he did decide to move on in a few years, you get your money back for him.
There were talks of United's ownership being big fans of Gareth Southgate. And I suppose Ten Hag, he must be aware that if he doesn't make a great start to the season, new contract or not, there's somebody waiting in the wings.
I think the person waiting in the wings might end up being Ruud van Nistelrooy, to be honest with you.
He's not even in the wings. He's in the dugout, isn't he?
Yeah. Exactly. And he is. And I was chuffed to bits when Erik Ten Hag got his new deal or his extension or whatever you want to call it. I wanted him to stay. I'm not a big fan of Gareth Southgate. Me and you spoke about it. We all spoke about this a few months ago, and I said, regardless of what happens at the Euros, I don't think he's cut out to manage Manchester United. But if things do go wrong for Erik Ten Hag, then you look at Ruud van Nistelrooy, who's obviously a club legend. He's got experience of managing at PSV. He, to me, would be a more obvious choice. I'm sure he'll say he doesn't want to do that because he's working with this manager, but that would make more sense to me than giving a job like Manchester United to Gareth Southgate, because whilst he has done well with England, getting him to another Euros final, you can't ignore that. I still think it threw up a lot of questions about his management, despite that good run. I don't think we're all sitting here going, Gareth Southgate was phenomenal in that competition. And I think that to expect him to come back to club management at Manchester United after being out of it for so long, especially when he didn't do that well when he was at Middlesbrough, for me is a bit of a step too far.
It's never good to bring in your replacement, though.
It's always that,
it's not a great idea. It's not a great idea, that, from his point of view, I don't think.
Yeah, there's always somebody who played for the club, etc. It's like, it's a weird move. There was a few stories yesterday, Jay, about Scott McTominay saying that he could be off to Galatasaray. And, I mean, I know they've looked at sort of Ugarte bringing him in from PSG in that position.
He had a good season last year, I thought.
He kind of looks like the player you'd want to stick around, but maybe it's him that wants, more regular game time. What's the latest on that? What do you know about that?
Well, I think there was an offer coming in. I think was it Fulham as well. I read somewhere were interested in him, but I think they were valuing him at around 70 million, and United were saying that's not enough. Listen, I like Scott McTominay. He scored a lot of goals last season. He's a player that just gets on with it, whether he's starting or not. He's not one who kick up a fuss. And you saw him in the FA Cup final. He was asked to do a different role. It was almost a man marking job on Rodri, and I thought he did it very well, indeed. And he's a player that served United well over the last sort of 6 or 7 years, or whatever it's been, 5 or 6 years. But he's probably not first choice, and he knows that. So if an offer does come in for him, then there's every chance he'll want to move on and get first team football. And there's a chance United might be looking at it going, okay, that could free up some funds to get someone else in. I think a guy is a different type of player than Scott McTominay. I think McTominay is slightly more attacking. But if we're not looking to bring in midfielders, then maybe the club will let him go. Personally, I'd like to see Casemiro move on and Scott McTominay stick around. I think Scott McTominay still offers you something, even if it's from the bench as a goal-scoring threat. I think Casemiro, last season wasn't great. I don't want to look too much into.
I'm sure he'll go.
Yeah, I think you're right. But my only concern there is it seems to be Saudi Arabia, or bust. That seems to be the only option for getting decent money for Casemiro and getting his wages covered. So you think that will happen, but if it doesn't, I don't see anyone else sort of queuing up, unfortunately.
And just finally, briefly, it's good that Jadon Sancho and Erik ten Hag have sort of sorted out their differences. It's good for England as well. I mean, it'd be good for whoever comes in as the England manager that hopefully he can get some rhythm back and start playing, because he's a good player and it's another good player with a competition for places, isn't it?
It is. It'll be interesting to see how this pans out, because obviously they've sort of called a truce or buried the hatchet, however you want to put it. Is he going to turn to him? Is he going to start him? Is he going to get lots of minutes under Erik ten Hag? He might do. He might not. He might be fringes, or it might be with a view to getting him some minutes to move him on again. So I'll be interested to see whether Jadon Sancho does get a real opportunity this season at Manchester United. He's had a few, to be fair, and he is a very good player, but it's just not happened for him at Old Trafford. And I feel it might never happen for him. I think it'll be even after this, it'll be best for all concerned if he moves on. I just don't think United have had the offer for him that they wanted.
Right, interesting. Good stuff, Jay. We'll catch up with you, I'm sure, before the start of the season. Thanks,
lads.
Jay Motty there from the Stretford Paddock YouTube channel for all things Man United. So that's us. I'm not with you tomorrow. I won't be with Charlie. Do expect to be told about a rather large pike that Charlie has landed today. There'll be fishing news.
Tremendous.
And it's Omid Jalili. Omid's coming in to co-host with Charlie tomorrow. So do join the boys from 1 o'clock. And he'll be back on Friday as well. But coming up next here on talkSPORT, we're plenty to talk about with everything going on in the world of England and beyond. It is Andy Goldstein and Andy Townsend with Drive.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons 1 till 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.